I am so excited to allow our audience to meet both of you. You two have been such wonderful students in our program. I'm going to start off by introducing John. So John, I met John at the Harlem YMCA in November or December of 2018. And I did this huge workshop. It was like 100 parents of like 70 children. And I was certain that a student from that audience was going to get into Stuyvesant High School. I didn't know who, but I knew that it was going to be someone that I met that night. I kind of felt it in my bones. Okay. So we did this major marketing outreach, and I just knew, in fact, both of you, I met your mom at that workshop, and you were testing that evening as well, right? So from that standpoint, it was a phenomenal opportunity for us to really get in front of students in Harlem, in that Harlem and Bronx area. And out of that batch, I was so honored to be able to meet you two. So I want to start off by allowing John to speak about his experience. You know, John is going to be attending Stuyvesant High School this fall, and we're excited about that. And Haley is going to be attending Bronx Science, my alma mater. I'm really excited about that. And both phenomenal students. I mean, you two demonstrated such focus and diligence. I actually taught Haley online for like 5 months, and she was still diligent, showed up every single week on top of things. John went above and beyond to complete additional exams.
Yeah.
About that. And so just wanting people to understand what it really takes if you really want to get into one of the elite specialized high schools. So I'll start off with you, John. Just what was the experience like? What do you feel like you had to do in order to really solidify your seat in one of these schools?
Well, honestly, you really have to, if you really want one of the specialized high schools, you have to work extremely hard. You have to go, like Ms. Ty said, above and beyond for what you want, because I ended up taking 31 practice tests.
Wow.
And
that's the truth.
Yeah, 31, all of them, all from the DOE handbooks, the AdmissionSquad ones that Ms. Ty gives out, the Barron's notebooks, and I'd keep grinding them. And eventually my score went from like a 30, a 32 on the ELA and like a 35 on the math to I started getting 50s, high 50s on each section. And with that, my understanding of each section went up. So I feel like you really have to put in the time and effort for this. It's a grind, honestly. If you want Stuyvesant, if you want Bronx Science, you're going to have to put the work in, regardless of, who you are.
Right. I totally agree. And that's what it really comes down to. You have to put in the work. I just told some of our students just last weekend, I need you guys to do 1,000 problems. And they were looking at me like if I was from another planet. They're like, what, 1,000 problems? But we have a student right here that just said he did 31 practice exams. Try multiplying that by 114. That's how many problems that he mastered. So if you
right
want
here.
Opportunity, right? Exactly. So, and our students have that book this year too. So they kind of know, we have to do the work. So Haley, what about you? What do you think really, got you into Bronx Science? What did it really take for you to solidify your seat?
Honestly, again, like the dedication, you have to be willing to put in work. I know some people who decided that they were going to come to prep and it was just going to happen for them. Like it's, you have to accept the fact that you're going to, you have to spend a lot of time doing work. You have to really want it. You can't just say, I'm going to get Bronx Science and you're going to get into Bronx Science. You have to be able to sacrifice sometimes. Like you're not going to spend your days gaming. You're going to spend your days, doing practice tests at home. Like he did 31, which, but you just, sounds stressful thinking about it. But you get it.
Yeah.
No, but so yeah, Haley, you were another student that, again, was completely diligent. You finished all of the homework assignments. Like when we asked you to do test corrections, you actually did them, right? And because of that, like by the end, you were also scoring around the 600s going into the exam. And John was scoring in the 700s going into the exam. So those types of scores is really what solidified your ability to get a seat. And this was actually one of the most competitive years that we've ever had. I don't know if you guys know that, but they like increased the minimum cutoff score. They like admitted way less students than ever before. And so like under those circumstances, you all were still successful is something to definitely be proud of. So I wanted to ask you both, like, why did you choose the school that you did for number one? So I'll start with you, John. Like, why Stuyvesant? Why did you even choose that school?
Well, honestly, what not to love about Stuyvesant? I mean, I know that personally in my life, I want to become like an electrical engineer or like a computer scientist. So, you know, going to Stuyvesant was kind of like a no-brainer because it's like the best of the best. I mean, they have so many like AP courses, so many like rigorous things for you to do and extracurricular activities. There are like a million clubs too, which I was really interested in. And honestly, I actually kind of really liked the building. I thought it was a really nice place, you know, the pool with like the Olympic-sized pool on the 11th floor. I thought that was great. And yeah, I also chose it because, you know, the prestige around it. And I feel like it would open up a lot of like doors for me in my future if just by saying Stuyvesant. Like my mom told me that just by saying like the name or just by saying I go to Stuyvesant, immediately people will look at me differently because of how well known the school is.
Right. And I had that experience going to Bronx Science. I mean, even to this day, I keep it on my resume. Like, there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm an adult, but I still have brand recognition because of the ability for people to see, like, yo, you actually put in the work that you needed to while you were in high school. And so I really wanted to, you know, just to ensure that people understood, like, how important that was, that you know, you have this opportunity to really stand out just based on the school that you go to.
I thought that program, but she's showing interest. Huh? That program, she used to go there.
Okay. So yeah. So that's really, really critical to remember, that you have this opportunity to basically like stand out just because of brand recognition. And that's going to be like something that's going to always set you guys apart for the rest of your life. Now, what about you, Haley? What, why is Bronx Science? Which
I chose Bronx Science because I went to Bronx Science. No, I'm kidding. Because
you said what?
Because you went, first of all, you went to Bronx Science, and you're obviously something that I admire. But also, like, the academics, of course, just like Stuyvesant, and the environment. Like, I know Bronx Science has a ton of like different after-school clubs, and it's a really inviting place. And also, like, I guess knowing yourself, like, Stuyvesant's really, really far away from me. And I'm not a morning person, and I wasn't going to wake up at 5:30 to get to school every day. I'm sorry. And Bronx Science is like 20 minutes away from me. You know, it's really close to like knowing yourself. You know?
That is a good point.
You have to know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
That is a very good point. There's other benefits. Bronx Science has a campus. Like, it has a whole, like, there's no other specialized high school that has a campus where you can chill outside. We play frisbee. If you know how to play double dutch, you can be outside playing double dutch. Like, you can just have like that college experience in high school. So I really appreciated that. They also let you go out for lunch. So if you want that freedom, that was kind of cool. And again, like, both schools are very elite. Like, you just have so many scholarship opportunities. You have opportunities to be a part of an alumni network, a million clubs, advanced placement courses. And yes, that makes a huge difference. So you picked a very great choice, but of course you had to get the score, and that's just what it is. So I wanted to talk about, like, you know, what was it like alongside your peers? Like, because a lot of times we have our students, and somehow they think that we're asking something crazy of them. And I think part of it is because when you look to the left, look to the right, your best friends that you're in middle school with, they're really not even focusing on this crazy exam that you guys had to take. So how did you balance that, you know, having to like prioritize this process, but literally having friends that maybe wasn't taking it nearly as seriously? Go ahead, Haley.
Okay, so for me personally, there were some kids in my school who just didn't care. And that, you know, like, I would spend my lunch periods doing homework because I had homework from school as well. And sometimes if it's like too serious, like if you think your friends are distracting you from your ultimate goal, you kind of have to prioritize. Like, you have to choose, like, I mean, don't like cut them out of your life, but like, you know, you have to choose what you think is more important, or what you think you should be devoting time to, you know?
Right. That's a good point. What about you, John? Did you struggle with that?
Yeah, actually, because I am lucky enough to go to a pretty wealthy school. So a lot of the people there, since they come from families who have money, they really didn't care about the exam because they'd go to private school anyway. But for people like us, well, for people like me, I don't really have a lot of money. My family's not like Donald Trump wealthy like some of the people at my school. So I really needed to, nail this on the head if I wanted to get an excellent education. And at that point, yeah, you got to cut off a few people, because you have to, like Haley said, you have to make a sacrifice. Like, you can't be gaming or like playing basketball with your friends all day. You have to take some time out, like an hour a day, just grind out some problems, the 1,000 Problems book that Miss Ty was talking about. Just do some of that every day. And then maybe then you can have like a few minutes to play with your friends.
Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, when I was in middle school, it was like a group of us, a very small group that were kind of on this next level nerd like status where we were just like, we're gonna get into a specialized high school, and like almost no one else existed for that period, and it was like laser focus against the goal. Now, once we took the test, we went back to being like normal eighth graders and like just enjoying life, and then we got our placements. And I have to be honest, like I was the only person that got into Bronx Science from my school, maybe one other person, but they ended up going to private school. One person got into Stuyvesant, and then everyone else got into tech. Back then it was only those 3 schools. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it was about 33% of the class got into specialized high school. And it was just crazy to just watch, like, wow, like whoever put in the actual work was rewarded with placement, and whoever didn't, they just didn't have the option to go to a really strong high school. And then even getting into high school, I still had to make some choices about, well, who am I going to hang out with? Because even if you get into a specialized high school, that doesn't mean you're automatically like on the right track to success, right? Like you have better options, but you still have to choose your crowd very carefully. And I had to like let some people go, like people who I considered dear friends in middle school. Unfortunately, where I knew I was trying to go, I was like, we can't really hang anymore, like it's just not gonna work because I'm trying to be great out here. I have bigger and better things to do. And unfortunately, we're not in alignment anymore. So you guys are gonna encounter some of that. And, feel free to reach out if you have any challenges with like really trying to figure out who is really going with me in the right direction, but that's really gonna be important as you decide on your social circles once you make this next leap, okay? What about being one of the few minorities in the school? So everyone is talking about only 10 Black children got into Stuyvesant, and only 24 Black children got into Bronx Science. I really was afraid when I first went to Bronx Science, but I promise you within like the first day, I made so many friends. Like race just didn't really play a role, but where are you guys right now? Like, how are you feeling about being one of the few in a sea of brilliant people?
All right, I guess I'll go first. So,
Sure.
I mean, as a term of being a minority, like it was obvious, I know it's obvious going to be like some sort of a culture shock because most of the kids in my school are like minority. But to be honest, all my teachers are white. So, like, like I wouldn't say I'm used to it, but I'm not very worried.
Right. I agree.
And it's also like I'm not really focused on race a lot. Like, like as long as I can prove myself and prove that I'm worthy of this position, like I don't think race has a lot to do with it.
I like that. And then for me, like, what I came to understand between Bronx Science and Duke, like no shade, I love math. And a lot of people who look like me did not love math. So like if I would have focused only on race, I probably would have had no friends. Right? So I literally started to like group my friends based on interest. And I found people who, shared the interest of mathematics with me, right? And those folks actually did not always look like me. I had a lot of white friends, a lot of Chinese friends, a lot of Indian friends, and it just continued into college. So I like that you have more of an open mind about who you consider a friend. What about you, John?
Yeah, just like Haley, I'm kind of used to having like, a diverse friend group, but I was at first kind of worried about how little people of color there were at these schools. But I think the BSU, which is the Black Student Union, and also at like Bronx Science, those kind of really help rectify that issue because, you know, they have like a bunch of Black kids who you can be friends with. And I got my god brother Aaron, who's going to Stuyvesant right now. So yeah.
Awesome. So you have
Yeah.
people already there. That's cool.
Yeah. A lot of my mom's friends go there, and my friends from childhood, so I think I'm pretty good. But
Nice.
for you guys, I honestly recommend, like from what I've been hearing, that you also join the Black Student Union because, you know, we get to hang out with people who look like us. I mean, that's a pretty big win if you ask me. That's a pretty big win.
Right. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be the only club. Like when I met the students at Stuyvesant and Bronx Science, they're involved in at least 10 clubs. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just one of the things that's going to help you to acclimate to the school, help you to understand how to navigate the school with ease, right? And you literally have a built-in network that's ready to receive you. So why not like leverage that network? You know, Brooklyn Tech has one as well. And so like all of the big three schools have some sort of a built-in support system for students from underserved backgrounds. So you can definitely just tap into that once you get there. So I'm really, really happy to hear that. Okay, so I know that we have a few students with us on the line. Do we have any questions? I still have some more questions, but for anyone who's with us, do we have any questions? You want to type into chat or say it out loud? I see Tao is here, Leila's here, Emmanuel's here. Giovanni, where are your questions, guys? Okay, they're gonna be shy. Now y'all remember being in their shoes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I have one question.
Go ahead, Tao.
I want to congratulate you for even getting into these schools.
Thank you.
And
Stay in the camera, Tao. Stay in the camera. Stay in the camera.
also, I just want to ask, like, what were your like, what was it like? How did you study, or were you like ever like really like ever nervous or stuff like that?
You mind if I take this?
Yeah, you got this.
All right, thanks. Well, for me, it was kind of hard for me to study at first, but you know, as you start studying more and more, it kind of becomes ingrained. It's like muscle memory. What I suggest you do is you just find like a quiet place where no one distracts you. Just lock the door if you need to, and you just bring like a book in there and you just, you know, grind it out. One problem for me was that sometimes like I'd get tired of doing it and I'd like think to myself, you know, I kind of want to do other things. You have to resist that as much as you can, because if I didn't resist that, I don't think I would have been able to get into the schools I did. I think the discipline to study is like a really important thing. And I don't think I know for personally, I was really nervous for the entire ride through. Like, I'd always ask myself, is my score good enough for Bronx Science? Oh, I heard so-and-so tell me that the test is really hard. Am I prepared? And honestly, what I'm gonna tell you right now is that you just listen to what Ms. Ty is saying, and you are good. You're good. You just need to, like she said, do the test corrections. I know a lot of people didn't do it. Do those test corrections.
They're worth
Do
it.
the homework, especially the test corrections, actually.
They're tedious,
because
but they're worth it.
Exactly, yeah, they're tedious, but they're worth it. Because them test corrections, exactly what's on the test, I'm telling you.
Right.
That's exact. You're going play around. You'll be like, I don't need to do this test correction, and it'll show up on the test. Don't jinx yourself. Do those test corrections and make sure you understand them. Do the homework and make sure you understand it. There are a lot of people in this program who will help you if you need help. Miss Ty, she helped me. I'd stay like 10, 15 minutes after class sometimes if I didn't understand anything, and she'd explain it to me one-on-one. Y'all literally have like a built-in support system for this. So don't stress like I did, because honestly, it makes everything worse.
Right.
Don't stress. You got this. Honestly, trust me.
Oh, how often do you study?
I studied every day, literally every day. There was not a day that went by that I did not study, at least for an hour. See, I know that's gonna be like really unappealing to some of you, but
Right.
if you want this, that is what's necessary. You have to work. You're not gonna get around working. It's just a part of what has to
Right.
happen.
I'm so happy you're saying that. What about you, Haley?
As for how much I studied, I mean, you have to really assess your schedule. Like I'm into a lot of after school clubs, so I knew Tuesday and Thursday I was gonna get home late, and I may have not gotten as much done. So it's all about kind of assessing your schedule. How much, like, which days do you have enough time to study, or like, and make sure you have a consistent schedule, because like you can't be like doing 5 minutes review on one day, then an hour on one day. Like you're gonna get burnt out, kind of. So for me, it was, I think I did like 2 hours of studying every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because I knew I didn't have any other obligations those days. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, I would do like an hour, maybe half an hour, or I would like study on the bus, because like I take the bus to school and I.
Sorry.
Oh, not there. Or like part of it for me was also assessing what type of learner I am. So I was that like I remember a lot of things from either listening to them or writing them down. So like at home, I would write down my notes, and then I would like literally record myself reading them. And then on the bus or the train, because I live in the Bronx and I went to Brooklyn to go to class, I would listen to my notes.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah,
That's
just
smart.
to make up for the lost time on Tuesday and Thursday.
Okay, I see you.
Right? We get some study hacks.
I'm telling you.
Very good. I do see a question from Edward. What sports do your schools have? So they're trying to figure out, you know, I'm assuming that he's referring to Stuyvesant and Bronx Science. So like what sport?
Right. You want to take this?
There's a lot, to be honest. Okay, so in terms of Bronx Science, there's like, okay, basketball, there's baseball, there's soccer, there's football, there's lacrosse. To be honest, I didn't know what lacrosse was until like 2 months ago. I'm sorry. There's tennis, there's swimming, there's track. There's like a whole nother subset of track that I'm not a sports person, okay? There's a plethora. Like, okay, my friend is going to Bronx Science with me, and he asked for the sports, and they gave him like a 23-page PDF back at like.
What?
It's not like one page per sport. It's like multiple inside. It's ridiculous.
Wow. So a lot of options.
Yes, it's an option for everyone. Or like I know in Bronx Science, in order to like graduate, you have to learn how to swim. So.
Yeah, same Stuyvesant.
It's like a huge pool there. Honestly, I don't know how to swim. It's kind of scary, but there's options for every single person out there. I can tell you that. Yeah.
I agree with that. There's literally everything for anyone. Literally any sport you can imagine is on here. Look, I got the entire sports roster up for y'all. We got boys and girls bowling, co-ed bowling, co-ed cross country, varsity football, JV football, swimming, soccer, volleyball, which I really love, fencing, golf, badminton, tennis, literally anything, track and field, table tennis, wrestling, swimming, handball. What is there that like? There's every sport. There's practically every sport there.
Yep.
I mean, even to make it better, they use Lehman College's gym a lot, so there's even more stuff over there that you can do.
Yep.
And you know what? By some miracle of God, that the sport that you like, that it isn't there. You know what happens? You can start a club about it,
right?
And you can make it.
They will give
literally, money. There's literally every sport for any person. It's ridiculous.
And that's not true at other schools where they'll give you an actual budget and an advisor to start what you want. So that's why that's why I go so hard, because I'm like, you literally have the world at your fingertips and you don't have to be stressed about, oh my gosh, I don't have this, I don't have that. And for a lot of other high schools in New York City, that's your experience. You just don't have the same options. The other thing for me, when I was at Bronx Science, I did gymnastics. And I was like, we used to compete at different schools. So we competed against Stuyvesant. Stuyvesant's gymnastics floor is phenomenal, by the way. Like, I remember that, the vivid memories of going to Stuyvesant for that meet. And it was just so much fun. It was so much fun. At Bronx Science, again, I was like on math team. I did all like the brain, like true nerd. But like, you can do sports if you want to do sports. And I did cheerleading. I was a cheerleader. Okay, so Brandon says, how tired were you after the studying? How tired were you? So, well, what do you guys think? Were you really tired, or did you just practice time management? Which one?
Time management.
Yeah, time management is extremely important to this, because you can't be going to, it's okay if you want to study, but don't study at your own expense. Like, you can't be going to sleep at like 1 o'clock in the morning study, because that's not healthy for your mental health. What I think, if you're really staying up until 1 in the morning studying, I feel like there's some way that you can cut that down. Like how Haley did on the bus ride, study, on the train ride, study. You get at home, instead of being on your phone watching YouTube for like 30 minutes, take like that 30 minutes and study.
Yeah.
And if you really can't afford to, like, I know I didn't do it in like bite-sized chunks. I went like ham for like 3 hours a day, and then I'd stop and then do 3 hours. But maybe that's not necessary. You can go like 30 minutes, you can go in like 30-minute bits,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just really split it up so that you don't burn yourself out.
And also, I know we always talk about like studying for 2 hours straight, but I mean, there's also breaks. Like, I used to take 5-minute breaks every so often. But also, when you're taking a break, you don't like go on YouTube, or you don't like start watching a Netflix movie. Like, you're not gonna watch a Netflix movie for 5 minutes. Like, you have to plan out your breaks as well. Because I know at the beginning I was like, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break, and then I go on YouTube, and then it'd be like 4 hours later. What was the point of that? Like,
right.
Like, even in your breaks, you have to do something like productive.
Yeah.
Right. So like, studying in and of itself doesn't make you tired. Like, this idea that studying is simply going over what you're learning, reinforcing new topics, and just really solidifying what you've learned. But if by some chance you are not practicing appropriate time management, meaning you didn't really budget your time for schoolwork, budget your time for after school activities, and budget your time for SHSAT prep, then you spill over into time when you should be sleeping. That's really on you. That's not on the process. You have months ahead of you right now to really budget your time to where, all right, these next 2 weeks, I'm focusing on algebra. The next 2 weeks, I'm gonna focus on geometry. You can spread it out. But it's the last minute folks who are not on top of things that tend to be in a situation where they're really struggling to stay on top, So it's important to think about it from that that perspective. Like, time management is really key here. And I liked your strategies, Haley, about listening to your notes. I'm gonna try that. So, okay, how did you balance doing studying daily and normal things? So they're really concerned about the studying. So basically, they think you guys are abnormal and freaks of nature. And so, as much as you can you help to demystify, like, what does it look like to still be a normal 8th grader or rising 7th grader? Because we started this journey even when you were in 7th grade, and still prioritizing this process.
All right, so I feel like I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, right? You are not going to, be doing things like you were prior to beginning to study for the SHSAT. You're not gonna have like 2 hours after school to go hang out with your friends and like play basketball. Nah, you gotta take some of that time to study. I mean, I feel like the time in school and like maybe only like 30 minutes after should be enough, like, to like doing normal things. I feel like you can, especially on like weekends, like what I did was after Miss Ty's classes on the weekends, I'd just go home, rest, play some video games. And then I took like the weekdays in particular to study. So I feel like it really, again, comes down to time management. Like, you just have to, balance your time out.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't have much to add. To be honest, like, I know a lot of people who had like a lot of different obligations. And I mean, I also had my after school clubs. But I mean, for me, going out with my friends, that wasn't a thing that I did. Like, I went straight home anyway, so that really didn't affect me that often. But I know for my friends that did, like, really prioritize hanging out with people, they studied with their friends. Like, you know, they would call their friend when they got home and they'd review over something that they did. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not like you just throw away your social life. Like, you can mix into studying with that.
Yeah, study groups are a thing.
Yeah.
And for me, no shade, one of my best mentors, he always tells me that you have social friends and you have growth friends. The social friends are the folks you play with. The growth friends are the ones you lock arms with and you say, we're going to be successful and I want you by my side. And we support each other in this process. If you have only social friends, people who want to play, you're never going to get where you need to go in life. You need to have both. So I'm not saying to have one versus the other, but I'm saying, like, if you don't have friends that's really trying to inspire and motivate you to get to the next level in life, you should be concerned about that, you know? So, you know, I'm not saying that in your free time or playtime with your growth friends, you're always working, but it should be the cool thing for you to do to be getting into these new spaces and to be able to have folks at your side when you're at Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, going into MIT, going to Harvard, being an investment banker, being a lawyer, going on your doctor track. You want folks that's with you and rising with you, not folks that you have to be going ahead, but then like secretly studying. And then, you know, you're playing with them on the, you know what I'm saying? Like it's confusing. And so you guys have to come to terms with that as you guys start to shift into this next phase of your careers. Okay. Any other questions? You're concerned about the studying. What about your parents? Were your parents really hard on you guys or understanding? Like what type of support? Non-support? What did they say? What did they do?
With my parents, it was more of a, we want you to get in here, but if you don't, we won't be that mad. You know, like it was, you need to prioritize it. You need to do what's best for you. But if you get into like, I don't know, Beacon, we'll be okay. Like,
Which is still
like,
a top school. So.
Yeah, it was like, we want you to get here, but if you don't, it's okay. But it's like, you still want to just because they want you to. Yeah. But it's also like, you have to make sure you and your parents are on the same page. Like, even with, like, applying for high schools, I know kids that their parents wanted them to go to Stuyvesant, but they put American Studies first. And I was like, that's going to backfire on you. Like, you have to make sure both you and your parents are on the same page with everything. Like, I mean, everything. You don't let anything slip because this is, again, this is your future that you're talking about, you know? Like, you have to make sure that you are in charge in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good. What about you, John?
Ooh. All right. So my mom is a very hardworking woman, right? And she has a very set goal for me when it comes to my schoolwork, and that is to do it well and do it efficiently. And that applied to the SHSAT. And my mom, sometimes when I wanted to go hang out with my friends, she was one of the people who drove me back and was like, no, study now. Because she told me, I remember, she was like, I don't think you'd be a good fit for like Beacon because I think you're too intelligent for that. I think you really belong at a specialized high school, which I agree with. And, you know, she was like, but you can't want a specialized high school and not want to do the work required. So
period.
Yeah. So, you know, I had to grind out every day, like I said. And, you know, on some Saturdays I'd be like, oh, Mom, can I hang out with my friends? And she'd be like, no, study now.
Sometimes it was only no. It was like you didn't do anything afterward. You knew what you had to do.
Yeah. And I think that really helped me in the long run. I think I appreciate my mom for doing that.
And it's just prioritization. Like, we know what's best for you guys. Once you finish the process, you can literally hang out with your friends as much as you want. You can do Netflix and chill. You can do whatever you want. Like, once it was done, all bets are off. You can have fun. Even the summer after 8th grade, you guys have way more freedom and flexibility. But that summer before the test, those weekends leading up to the test, Not even 6 months or 8 months leading up to it.
Yeah.
Everything matters.
Every second, every minute, every topic, every concept, every study session, every diagnostic matters, because you want to make sure that you're mastering everything, because the more you know, the more confident you'll be on exam day. So I know it was a lot of sacrifice, but look at you both now. Like, you guys literally are in these are nationally ranked schools. You understand that? Like,
yeah.
You guys have that opportunity, and I'm so proud of you both. Like, we've been trying to get somebody into Bronx Science for years. Like, half the reason is because people don't really want to go to Bronx Science. Most of our target market is in Brooklyn, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was a blessing to be able to meet students from up, you know, in that region. And it's a dream come true for me to get a student into Bronx Science. We got one in like years ago, but it's been a long time coming because people won't rank the school high. It's not that they weren't getting the score, they just wouldn't prioritize the school. So proud of you. And of course, like, I'm sharing this through all the alumni groups, so they all gonna know who you are. Look out for my students as they about to take over. And you guys are gonna be like on track for like elite colleges or whatever you want to do, because we also pushing scholarships here. We want to be really smart about what colleges you go to, and that you guys are like positioning yourselves and building a beautiful portfolio while you're in high school so that you qualify for scholarships, because you're not paying $200,000.
No.
No. So we will find other ways. Any other questions? Leila, do you have a question? These are like, guys, these two students are like academic celebrities. I hope y'all understand that. Like, literally, it's so few students who actually will place into these schools from you guys' demographic. And it's sad to say that, but there's a lot of odds working against folks who look like you and me, you know? So the fact that despite all those odds, we were able to all work together to create this opportunity for you guys, I'm just really proud. And I want to ensure that, you know, these students that we have here are inspired. So any questions, guys, you can type it in or you can say it out loud.
Yeah.
This is your network. I don't want you to think about it as like, these are two students you'll never know. Like, you guys could easily be placed into these schools and then they're your instant connections. You know?
Y'all can ask me anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally anything you're wondering about the SHSAT, or like, I could tell y'all about like literally almost anything about the SHSAT.
Okay, I see you have a question. How do you feel about being, we did that one already. How do you feel about being among the few students of color? We did that one.
Yeah. Well, should I just restate what I said?
Yeah, you can like briefly restate it.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. So basically, what I said was, you know, I was fortunate enough to go to like a predominantly white school, and everyone there is pretty well off. So, you know, I'm used to being one of the few Black kids at my school. At Stuyvesant, it's still pretty disheartening knowing that I'm one of the few people that, you know, look like me in that entire building of 3,000 something kids.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Black Student Union, Boss Swiss, all of that, they really help rectify that issue. And I highly suggest that any of you join them.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how did you like try to stay away from doing other things while you were studying or doing work, like watching Netflix or YouTube? So how did you guys stay focused?
Okay, for me, I turn off my phone. I usually go to my room. I turn off the TV. I tell my mom to leave me alone for like half an hour. It's no distractions, nothing. Like, especially like my family's very loud speakers. Like, just everyone out. It's like you have to just set boundaries sometimes, because like in the end goal, like your end goal is something for your future. You have to prioritize that. Like.
Yeah.
And not every time. That's not always that your parents are even going to know at every given moment that it's study time for you. So like, I even see some of the students, like for our online classes on the weekends, sometimes parents might be a little loud in the background, but I'm wondering, did you like assert yourself to say, hey, I'm in class for the next few hours. please, can you guys keep it down or find a different space in the house where you can legitimately be focused, because we're in a different situation, guys. So for Haley, you know, I had to teach you online, and that was because of a location challenge, right? Like you were living really far, so to make that commute for that long was a little harder for you. And but John, you came all the way from Harlem, so God bless you guys. But we are in that situation because of the current pandemic, right? So we're pretty much doing everyone online right now. And I think the folks who are really diligent are getting a lot out of it, but there's a lot of students who I feel are not really fully capitalizing off of this opportunity. So I guess like I really turn this over to you, Haley, because you actually not only did our spring program online, you did a few weeks with Mr. Alec online and still managed to place into Bronx Science. I know that you also were in the DREAM program, but you had quite a bit of remote learning, right? So from that standpoint, what advice can you give? We're running our whole summer boot camp online, okay? Yes, our fall program is gonna be in person. I think it's possible. I do a lot of stuff remote. I'm in a real estate class right now that I'm learning remotely. So I think it's possible, but I'm an adult. So what advice can you give from your remote learning experience to these students who are about to be in an 80-hour summer boot camp, fully virtual, because we have to be, right? That really helped you to still be successful despite those circumstances?
Well, okay, so something I wanted to like really make apparent was like organization. Like you're gonna be at home, you're gonna have distractions, but like for example, I took notes because I remember things by writing them down. You have to really stay organized. You have to make sure you're not losing your textbook under your bed, or I don't know, leaving your notebook on your desk and forgetting where you left it. Like you have to really stay organized. You have to really like just prioritize what you're doing. Like, I mean, I wasn't like being in your house, you have a lot of distractions. Like I'm an only child, but you may have siblings running around. Like you have to just like set apart that time where like you have to make yourself known, like I have things to do. This is about my future. Like you have to just take charge of your own future in a sense. Like you have to make sure that you're doing what's necessary to actually like be successful. And if you're not maybe like you don't function best in online classes, like make sure you're reaching out to your teachers. Make sure like you're not being shy about maybe talking to other kids in the class, like emailing your teacher, calling your teacher, like something like stuff like that, just to make sure that you're doing everything that's possible to be successful, even if you're not usually successful in an online class situation.
Thank you so much for that. Did you have anything to add, John, from a remote learning standpoint? Like I know that you didn't necessarily do remote learning for the main classes, but we definitely need to do like office hours online. And I know that, you know, you're experiencing remote learning right now. So any advice you can offer to these students who literally have to do this as the main form of instruction?
All right, guys. So what I feel about online learning is, unlike learning at like at the place at like WeWork or whatever the place was, like directly, online learning is really more dependent on you and how focused you are. Because I know some people in my online classes that be like sneaking your phone under the camera and like playing on your phone instead of paying attention in class. That's not going to cut it with this. You can't expect to do that and get into a specialized high school. That's not going to happen. So what I suggest is maybe you like Haley said, turn off your phone, sit in a room with like no electronics other than your computer, and just focus. Like, honestly, it's in your best interest. Just focus on what you're doing right now, because you can't expect to do other things and get into one of these schools, because you have to keep in mind there's like 30,000 other children like trying even harder to get in.
Y'all heard that? 30,000. Okay.
From like first
5,000 seats. Okay. All right, we have a question from Facebook. Basically the question is, what about elementary school students? So you guys, like, we met you as a 7th grader, and you kind of already had some foundation in place. Like, both of you brilliant students, but definitely needed, you know, some support. Like, both of you kind of came in around the same level, like in the mid 400s. And I'm just really proud to say we were able to get you like 150, 250 points above that. So there was definitely a lot of growth within the confines of our program. but what do you feel elementary school students should do to get on this pipeline to success? Like, you know, it's a long journey.
Yeah.
And there's clearly something that y'all were doing to be in a position to be able to access the content that we gave you once you were in the program. So please help our elementary school students out.
All right. So first of all, I think it's fantastic that you're starting this program so early. I think it's really going to help you in the long run. You're not going to regret it. And I think that the SHSAT, honestly, you need to have an extremely, solid foundation to do extremely well on that test. Because at the end of the day, almost everyone gets like a separate test. Like, there are some people who get one test in each room, and then in another room, it's another test. So you want to, at the end of the day, your main goal is to learn and memorize every single concept on that test, like algebra, proportions, geometry, which I hated, poetry, ELA, every reading comprehension, every single one of those, you need to grind, and you need to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing on. And I feel like starting the program of fourth grade, like 4 years early, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because by the time you're my age, you're probably going to be bored of this. You're doing so well. I know one of my friends, Jacob, he started when he was in third grade. He's a four. I think he's better than me. It's insane. This program does so much for you. He's a fourth grader. And he's scoring like enough to get into Brooklyn Tech already at the age of 10.
Jacob is brilliant.
I was scoring below the cutoff when I was in mid seventh grade.
So he made it to the final round for prep, by the way.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's likely gonna go to a private school, so we're keeping fingers crossed for that. But yeah, we started him in third grade.
Wow.
But like, okay, so that's starting SHSAT prep, but like you guys didn't do that. So what do you think set you two apart based on what you did do, like in elementary school, that allowed you to access like higher levels of learning?
Probably like the fact that I had a tutor. Like, I think having like someone there or like a mentor to help you and get you that extra grade level above is what you really need, because some different schools, they don't teach you the same material, right? So I feel like what helped me was that, you can't flip the switch on and start being a good student in like 7th grade. You have to, consistently be doing well on those state tests, especially.
And you had fours, right?
Yeah, all fours. Never gotten less.
Oh,
Haley,
I can't tolerate less. For me in elementary school, I went to a private school. It was K-12. There was only 200 kids. So I knew everyone, and every teacher knew everyone. So it's like everyone had their eyes on you. So like I personally developed a sense of discipline. Like I didn't have my dad was my tutor. I don't know if that counts. But like,
yeah.
I mean, and not in terms of like academics. Like I wouldn't say the academics were like very high until I maybe reached my public school, where like my middle school, where I started taking honors classes. But I think a huge part of it was just just establishing a sense of self-discipline, like just like making sure like you're not going around all willy-nilly just like doing random stuff. Like you prioritize, what's important, like what's important to your future, and how to prioritize that, and just how to focus. Like I think I had a strong sense of motivation. Like I'm a very like I guess like a goal-driven person. Like just the motivation that I was like established like in the elementary school level with the self-discipline, and then just finding your own motivation is really important as well.
And this is a side question, what were your dream middle schools? Or did you guys not even, like, was it more of your parents driving that process? Or did you actually have a target middle school that you wanted?
Well, I didn't really have them because my old school was K to 8th grade. So I just thought I was going to go up to 8. But I ended up changing because, like just like problems that we had at school that were not being solved. So we, it was like the middle of school. Like I switched in November. So it's like on the Friday we had talk with teachers, and on the Monday I was at my new school. Like I had 2 days to really figure out what I was doing with the rest of my academic career, basically.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, I had never heard of specialized high school, because that private school was like, you went to this one, and then you went to our sister school, and then you went to our sister school's college. Like, so I did not know about specialized high school. I didn't know about just all the high schools in the New York City area. Like, I just thought it was those two schools that I had options with. So, like, it was a really, really rushed process for me. I think the only good thing I had was that my neighbor at the time was a teacher. So, and like, she had been teaching for like, I don't know, 30 years. Like, so she had bounced between schools, and she had known like the environment, I guess. And we did like, I guess, like a mini open house type of thing where like the principal himself showed us around. And I kind of just fell in love with the environment, even though I knew like nothing about it. And I just kind of, for me, it was just taking a chance, to be honest. That was really, and I was like 10 years old, moving to 6th grade. I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah. I had like a dream middle school. It was the center school. I did well on the interview and I got in. That's the school I go to right now. And I don't really regret it. One thing that I actually, for any of y'all who, well, I know y'all are already in middle school, but for any of you guys that happen to like be in elementary school, the middle school you go to is actually pretty important for doing well in the specialized high school exam, because, you know, the stuff that they teach you in middle school is the stuff that's going to be on the exam. And if you don't go to a, you know, decent middle school, then chances are they're not going to teach you as much as you need to know. And that'll end up hindering you when you take the test.
And also like exposure. Like I said, in my elementary school, I had no idea what specialized high school was. So like, you have to make sure that when you're going to, like, when you're choosing a middle school, that they have opportunity, like I guess programs, opportunities, funding, like just that you're exposed to all types of different programs, so that you know, like you get to experience as much as possible before high school.
Yeah.
That's good. Now we have a question from Leila. I'm not sure that this is quite applicable because you guys aren't in high school yet. So just to be clear, Leila, they're in 8th grade. They just took the exam in October of last year. And so they're not going to start high school until the fall. But I guess you guys can talk about your own middle school experience. So the question is, what does a typical day look like at your school? And what are your current school values? But
I've asked my godbrother about it. I can tell you what he thinks.
Sure. Go for
All right. So my godbrother, his name is Aaron. He goes to Stuyvesant, just like me. Well, I'm about to. And he says that, he says that his day usually, well, he does like his math, and then he takes, I think, organic, I think he takes AP Bio, and then he does swimming because it's required. They literally force you to swim in that gigantic pool.
Literally don't graduate.
They call it swim gym. And then after that, I think he said he has lunch or something, and then he comes back. He's on the track team and he practices that. And I don't know what his afternoon classes are, but I know that he practices again with his team. And then after his practice, he comes back home at like 4 or 5. And then he does his homework, and like at 6 or 7, he has the rest of the day to himself. Which is really surprising because, you know, they tell you that the specialized high schools have a lot of work. And I was like, what? How'd you get like all of that done in an hour?
Yeah. I guess I'll cover my 8th grade. Okay, I'll maybe cover like my 7th grade with the studying, I guess. So in 7th grade, I had 5 classes in the morning, and then we had lunch. And during lunch, I would usually study. No. During lunch, I would do the homework that I got in the past 5 classes. And then like I had 3 more classes in the afternoon. It was maybe like a half-hour bus ride where I would be studying, and then I'd come home, devote maybe like 2 or 3 hours to like actual school homework. I'd get home at like 2, by the way. And then it was maybe like 2 or 3 hours, like 1 to 2 hours of studying, depending on, I guess, like the day, because I know I have the after school clubs. And then I guess in 8th grade, after the test, I had a lot more free time. I did not know what to do with myself. And it was like, honestly, like I had no idea what was happening. And it was usually like, you know, I'd come back from school. I'd go to school, I'd come back from school. I literally like take a nap because that's literally all I knew what to do. And that's like, I started actually like weekly studying because I felt like I was wasting time any other way. And that kind of like, I guess, shows like what the program like, I guess, does. Like, it just teaches you how to prioritize your time in the best way possible. Like, you know, like in like 8th grade, I would like on every Saturday I would read over my notes just in case I'd forget something. That was
right. And I mean, in general, y'all are not off the hook. Technically, you should still be working.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that I'm pushing everybody to do. Learn the stock market, okay? You can learn a new language. You can start working on your SAT prep. You can start learning how to code. You can start learning skill. There is so much. There is no such thing as boredom. You guys are entitled to a brief break, okay? While, you know, because we worked for a couple months straight in preparation for the test. But in general, this is a long-term journey of you guys getting to a certain place, especially by the time you're 18. Like, I would love for all of you to have a skill mastered. If you could start working on your second language mastered, and you could start learning the rules of money. Like, if you could get those 3 things done and still maintain your academic requirements, now we are working. So there is no such thing as free time, okay? There is time for rest, relaxation, and rejuvenation, and then we get back on track, okay?
Yeah. I think for me, like last year, Spanish was mandatory for me. So like even now, like during online school, that's what I'm kind of prioritizing, just like doing extra work in Spanish, just to, like get a head start because I'm going to take Spanish next year. So it's like just to get it, like some people are going to take that Spanish next year. Like, what's the point of studying it? But like, why not have a head start? You know, there's nothing wrong with being ahead, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we have the right mindset here. We are optimizing our time. You guys know how I feel about career readiness. So there's a lot that you guys can do with this new time that you have. Okay. Especially in this climate with being home. Okay. So any other questions? Our honorable guests, you've been with us for quite some time. I thank you guys so much. I'm just checking to see, is there any final words that you wanted to share?
Studying isn't that bad, guys.
Yeah. Study hard, you know. Listen to what Miss Ty is saying. And actually, after you take the test, I know my mom made me do this, just like write down how you felt about it. And then once you like afterwards, you can keep coming back to it, and it's actually really fun to look at. But other than that, yeah, just listen to what Miss Ty is saying, you know, keep studying, keep focusing, and I honestly think that all of you will do well.
Yeah. And make sure you have the motivation. Like, don't do this because your mom wants you to.
Yeah,
do it because
definitely.
you want to.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing this because your parent wants you to, you're not going to get anywhere. I'm sorry. Like, you have to make sure that you yourself are also motivated.
Make sure, what she's saying, make sure you want to do this because, you know, if you pass the SHSAT and you get into this school, it's going to take a lot more than your mom to get you through these 4 years.
Huh. Exactly. And how old are y'all again?
I'm 14.
12.
You're 14 already?
Yeah.
I'm 12, but I'm turning 13 next month, okay?
Wait, so what, you're 12?
Yeah.
Aww. That's so cute. Okay, so this is coming from a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. And y'all are sounding like the adults right now. And I didn't tell them what to say. All I did was I contacted their parents and I said, hey, I want to do this thing. I want to have these students who place talk to the students who are currently preparing. There was no coaching or prep or scripts or anything. This is their authentic perspective. And I think you guys have nailed it. And I think I always tell the students, you only listen to people who are where you want to be. Not the folks who ain't really going anywhere, okay? So for you to be able to accomplish this amazing outcome of placing into Stuyvesant and Bronx Science, and you were only like 2-3 points away from Stuyvesant. So I still believe that you were, both of you were Stuyvesant caliber, okay? It's just that Haley chose Bronx Science. So from that standpoint, like, y'all did it. You did it. Give yourself a pat on the back. I'm so proud of you. This is the beginning of a whole nother chapter of work. So I'm just giving you that heads up.
Yeah.
So get ready for that. Like, it's going to be intense, but the payoff is great. And you all are going to be in such a good spot for when you go to college. We have another question. How would you rank from most influential to least influential in getting and setting up your academics, your regular self-motivation, regular schoolwork, tutoring, SHSAT prep, and your parents.
Interesting.
All right. So from most influential to least influential, number one, self-motivation.
Oh, yeah.
Self-motivation is key because, like I said, you have to be self-motivated, or else once you get into the school, it's gonna feel like hell, and you're gonna want to drop out, and then all that time, all that money wasted. Second, I'd say probably SHSAT prep, because without Miss Ty, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. I mean, her program is literally like, it's amazing. Like, y'all are so lucky to be in here. It's, whew, if I can do it, you can do it. And Miss Ty will definitely help you get there. So, yeah. Then I'd say definitely schoolwork, because, my school, like, they didn't really go over it that much, but they gave me like the basics and the foundations to, know at least like where Miss Ty was coming from with this new material. Then next I'd say tutoring, because my tutor, really, he was just there to like reinforce concepts like that Miss Ty taught me. Like, as soon as I'd be done with like one of Miss Ty's classes, the next day I'd have my tutor going over the exact same thing to make sure I got it. And then least, and I don't want to say like this is the least influential, because it definitely wasn't. These all influenced me greatly, but I'd probably say my parents, because my parents were kind of just like my mom wasn't, but like, they're kind of like moral support, they'll listen to you when you want to, like, when you get mad, or like you want to hang out with your friends, they'll draw you back in, because at the end of the day, they have your best interests in mind, and they can help you make decisions that you like sometimes a rational child, doesn't have, like, the foresight to make for yourself.
I think for me, it's pretty similar actually. I think I do self-motivation, she's at prep. I think I'd put my parents next, just because I think if I didn't have my mom on the train with me for those 2 hours every morning, like I definitely wouldn't have been as motivated. Like, I think my mom's motivation was a really big part of my motivation. Like, it was like I had my own goals and I had my own like aspirations, but my mom really helped me enforce. Like, she was like the driving force for that. And I think like just having your parents there, like just knowing you have someone in your corner, just knowing that you have someone that also wants this for you. Like, you're not by yourself. You're not just doing this alone. Like, you have people that are willing to help you or are willing to find somebody else to help you. Just like, it's just nice to have someone else be there, because I know maybe kids at your school aren't the most academically driven, or maybe they're not as serious about this as you are. So like, it's always nice to know that you have your parents in your corner to like really help you when you feel like you're falling behind in motivation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Those are good answers, guys. Wow. Very good. I'm impressed. Okay. All right. So any other questions? I think we're good. All right. So what's next for you two?
Well, do you want to answer, Haley?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, definitely the next step for me is learning more coding languages, because, I really want to, do something with technology in my future. So, and coding is like a really important skill, it gets you a lot of money when you come out of college.
Right.
And yeah, and I find it kind of enjoyable. So I think definitely next up, well, I was learning HTML a few like months ago. After I get back on that, I think I should probably next learn JavaScript. And then yeah, and then probably maybe C++ afterwards. And then, just gotta keep up my social life,
I think the next step for me is definitely getting better at Spanish. just because I found that I actually really enjoy it. Like I know last year I did it because I had to, like it was mandatory. But like it's actually it's like so useful. Like as I know it's like the second spoken language in the U.S. Like you can use it in the workplace and stuff like that. And I really enjoy just communicating with other people. So I think I'm really kind of like prioritizing in my free time. You don't have that here, but free time to like just learning Spanish and even learning about the stock market. I'm really interested in that as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have our students. One of the students just got Disney stock. So I'm like, really?
I'm thinking of getting the Boeing one.
Oh, okay. So we got to talk about that because Warren Buffett put all his money out of the airline industry.
And I'm already doing like investing in shoes. I made like already like $100 or something. It's
Okay,
crazy.
he got PlayStation. My student got PlayStation.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. So we are learning. We are growing. We are.
Yeah.
We are excited. So I'm proud of you both. Yeah, for Spanish, I wanted to say make sure you study abroad. And, you know, you should be able to secure an opportunity, what with being at Bronx Science, by the way. So you solidify your Spanish when you're actually talking to Spanish speakers, not just but by just reading or, you know. So just put that in your mind. Like I studied abroad in Egypt and like learned Arabic. So I got so good at Arabic because of that experience. So I want you to make sure you study abroad at least twice. And like Spain or like one of these amazing countries. I think that would be a great experience. And for you, John, you're already aware about your coding. Like you're going to be at Stuyvesant, you're already set. Do your hackathons, like and to, you know, just build something. Like make sure you come out of Stuyvesant having built a couple things. Like have a portfolio, and that's going to make you the most marketable. You know, you guys are going to be in really good shape. So anyway, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much. Like this is recorded, so I'm going to get this onto YouTube and share it with you guys. But I really wanted folks to have an opportunity to meet you in person. I think sometimes maybe people don't think that y'all are real. I'm like, no, we have real life smart.
Y'all can be like me. Y'all can be like me too. Y'all just need to put in the work.
Answers were pre-programmed into my brain.
Definitely.
Yep. Right, you got to do the work. There's no way around it, and I love that you both said that. Like, these are two students who worked very hard. So anyone who got in, I'm not surprised. It wasn't like this, like, stroke of luck, like, how you slipped into Stuyvesant? Like, you don't Stuyvesant and Bronx Science. Like, you work for Stuyvesant and Bronx Science.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just what it is. So anyway, thank you both so much. I'm so proud of you. I'm excited for your next chapters. You know, y'all are like my mentees for life. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see this next chapter. We have, congratulations, John and Haley. Good luck at your.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, so that's it for now, and we will connect again. I'm going to do a graduation celebration virtual for all of you. So, and we have some special prizes for you guys as well. So I can't wait for that. All right.
All right.
Awesome. I know y'all are ready. No, y'all are ready. Don't worry. I got something on my sleeve. Don't you worry.
You had me at prizes.
I know. Anyway, have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
All right. Bye, guys. Good luck.
Bye, guys.